With this video, I want to give you a few helpful hints on some of the drafting settings that have been mentioned in some of the previous Solid Professor videos. Most notably, I want to talk about the polar tracking and object snaps. Two things that we want to set here that can be very helpful is to set object snaps. Is to set object snaps to endpoint, midpoint, center, and intersection. By default, midpoint is not on and extension is on. And they're just a little more complicated than what we want to mess with, or extension is a little more complicated than we want to mess with right now. So I'm going to toggle that off by just picking it. And then midpoint is extremely helpful. So we'll toggle that on. So this is the way I've been using AutoCAD forever and ever, with endpoint, midpoint, center, and intersection set as my running object snaps. So I'll pick to put that little pop-up list away. And then the other thing that's convenient for me is to set my polar tracking angles to every 15 degrees. Back in the old manual drafting days, we had a 30-60 triangle and a 45-degree triangle, and by stacking them in different directions we can easily get to an every 15-degree type increment. So this kind of makes me feel at home, so to speak, from the old days. So with that, I'm going to grab my line tool right up here, and I'm going to pick a point. And now, by using dynamic distance entry or direct distance entry, notice that as I move my crosshairs, when I get locked into 15 degrees off a horizontal, I get that dotted line that extends out endlessly. When I'm not on a polar tracking angle, that line doesn't extend off to the screen. When I get back up to 30 degrees, it locks in again. And I don't have to now enter an angle. It'll lock in at that 30 degrees. So if I give it a 10 for a length and I hit enter, I've created a point 10 units away from where I was at a 30-degree angle. If I go 15 degrees off a horizontal and I lock it in with, let's say, 5 units long and hit enter, now I'm 15 degrees off a horizontal. So that can be very beneficial. It keeps us from having to enter the angles, because in mechanical design, 15 degrees is a pretty common increment. Yes, we work at 0 and 90 most of the time, but 15 degrees does come in pretty handy. So I'll just kind of draw a few things here because I want to, and I'm just kind of sketching some junk in here now. And I'll type in a C for close, and it closes that shape off. Because now what I want to do is talk about other methods to select objects. In a video that was included in Learning Plan 1, I talked about just picking objects with the erase command. This time I want to talk about other methods. So I'm going to go up here and grab my erase tool. And when it prompts me to select objects, yes, I can pick. But another way of selecting objects is to pick where there isn't anything. And then if I picked and let go, okay, and now I'm just moving the mouse, and you can see that it's highlighting inside that window, inside that blue window, everything that's completely inside of it. If it's not completely inside of it, I don't get it. When I pick, I've grabbed those objects also. Another way to select objects is to pick where there isn't anything and then drag to the left. I'm moving my mouse, my finger is off the pick button, and now as soon as I cross any one of those objects or completely enclose any one of those objects, I get it. So to the left is a green dotted window, and that's a crossing window. And to the right is a blue solid window, and that's an enclosing window. Probably all you'll ever need to select objects. Individual picks, pick and drag to the right, pick and drag to the left. And I shouldn't say drag. I should say pick and let go and move to the right, and pick and let go and move to the left. for a window to the right and a crossing to the left. I'm going to hit escape so that I don't actually erase anything, so I don't have to redraw stuff. And yet another method of selecting objects is to use what's called the lasso. Now this is a little bit weird. I'm going to pick where there isn't anything, but I'm going to hold the pick button down. And when I do that, you can see that I get this lasso. And when it's blue, I'm only going to get the things that are completely inside the lasso, if you will. I'll let go, and you can see I got those two objects. Those are the only two things that happen to be completely inside. When I pick and drag to the left to begin with, I get a crossing or a green lasso, and I get that. I see my students now using the lasso quite a bit. Myself, I just can't get used to it. It's a newer feature. It's only been out for a release or two, and I'm just too picky or too used to picking and letting go and moving in one direction or the other with just a rectangle. I'm a little bit old-fashioned there. But there are your different methods for selecting objects. Window, crossing, lasso window, lasso crossing, or just individual picks.